You okay?
Yeah, my eye is twitching.
Your
Oh,
eye is
no.
twitching.
Yeah,
How
that's fine.
dare your eye twitch?
How
Hey,
very rude.
I had a fucking spat of like both my eyes doing that weird sort of thing for a while, and I was just going, really, not while I'm trying to do something or drive, but hey, it's fine.
Gotcha. All right, let's make sure that we're up.
Oh, also,
Yeah.
everyone from the Fallout London crew have found our podcast.
Oh no.
Nice.
Because one of them just stumbled across it and he went, "Hey, look, it's Renara. She's doing this." And I was just sort of like, "Oh, okay."
Was that
hi."
Worko?
Yes, it was.
Okay, so yeah.
And then he went, and just sort of said, and then everyone was like, "Oh, I've subscribed. I'll subscribe too." And I was like, "Oh God, oh God."
It was
Okay.
good. This is good. That's how part of networking works. We've talked about this before. Okay.
Oh,
Yes.
that reminds me. Before we get started, I wanted to make sure you guys knew
We're
I'm
live,
gonna be
by the
in.
way.
I'm gonna. Oh, we're not. Never mind. I'll tell you later.
Nope.
Nope, not saying. That is not for this audience.
I
No,
am-
no,
I-
no, no, no.
Oh,
I'll tell you
Lord.
after.
I can
Oh,
mute
boy.
us first. Here. Okay. Okay. You're muted. So just like, okay. What's up?
Okay.
And now I am also back on. Poor choice of words. Okay. Let's have a good show.
Our journey started just like yours. We felt the same excitement and made the same mistakes.
And though we walk different career paths, our goal is the same.
To provide you with sound advice and real-world experience to help you with your own expedition.
So come join us, traveler, and let us talk about your vocal adventure.
On behalf of the Cold Read Council, let's start the show.
Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Everybody's bopping here is the new thing that Dorino came up with. Thank you so much, Dorino. Very, very happy to hear the new intro. Yeah, here we are, Cold Read the podcast. We are your companions in your vocal adventure. I hope you are all doing absolutely well. If you have anything that you want us to talk about, any topics, anything that you have, you can email us, coldreadthepodcast@gmail.com. Again, coldreadthepodcast@gmail.com. Or you can join our Discord. Link is always going to be in the description of these videos, whether you're catching us on YouTube or anywhere you can get your podcasts. Come on in, join the community. We have a good network of people that can help us all out. Or just come in for the daily memes. And again, thank you for Funny Hatter, and thank you for Fire and Brimstone for providing those. We appreciate it. We love seeing those, and they continue. If you have any audio that you're working on, though, and we're going to go into a little bit of audio review again today, please feel free just to either drop it in the audio uploads, let a mod know if you can't go through with it, or just email it to us again, coldreadthepodcast@gmail.com. We'd love to give you constructive feedback, and it's very important for using the word constructive. We don't want to shame anybody. We don't want to do anything strange. We want to make sure to help you out. So let's check in with our hosts and make sure that everybody's okay. Buka, welcome back. Thank you for whole new season. We appreciate you being here. Dorino, unfortunately, cannot make it in today, so you will not be hearing his lovely deep bass
Dulcet tones.
Yes. Tones today, but let's see how everybody's doing. Renara, let's see. How was your week? Couple weeks now.
Well, my OU adventure, Open University for those, has been intriguing. No, I've had to focus a bit more on on the apprenticeship for the last couple of weeks because I've got a few like assessments due in as well as I'm really getting into the meat and grit of actually like helping and doing direct work with children now, which has brought a new lease of life to me a little bit at least as well, which is really nice. In regards to the voice acting stuff, I got some feedback on accent work, so that'll be intriguing, and I'd like
Yes.
to talk about it just a little bit because, as for OG fans of the podcast, I've been working on my American accent since the beginning, so it would be very nice to know what you guys think of it so far, as well as sharing some stuff that I didn't realize until this person told me. So
Okay.
yes, I've got my Dunmer retakes back. They went through all of my old stuff and went, "You mispronounced this, you mispronounced this, you mispronounced this," and they're going, "Okay, thank God they went through it because I was worried because they've changed a lot of the pronunciations for some of the names now."
Well,
But
at least
other
you
than
didn't
that-
have to dig through your audio and do it yourself. Yeah,
That's
so-
very, very true. Thank you,
Crazy.
KM, for digging through it all. But yes, I have been just doing, and the horrors persist, but so do I.
Gotcha.
Basically, I think is the tagline.
Yeah, no, I understand. Well, thank you, Renar. Thanks for being here again. Buka,
Hi.
hi. How have you been?
I'm good. I've been on a mountain of personal adventures, one of which included rescuing a dog from North Carolina, and then only to have it taken by my mom. So I kind of flew to the Northeast and came back without a dog when I was supposed to have a dog.
Oh,
So
no.
that was a thing, but it's fine. My mom loves her and she's enjoying being a snow dog, so it's all well. As far as voice acting goes, I haven't gotten into setting up my CCC account, but that is my goal this year. From the teaching front, we're starting off this year at the Arizona Voice Acting Guild by challenging some of our advanced division folks with monologues. So they had the winter
Ooh.
break to prepare a anywhere from 1 to 3 minute monologue. And then for the next couple of weeks, we're having them sort of debut those monologues. So we have some from Kill la Kill, Demon Slayer, Yu Yu Hakusho. There's a few others that I've pulled monologues from. And I'm really excited to see how they all turn out. We have a few that are going to be performing on Monday, and
Ooh.
so how people are receptive to it and the kind of feedback they're going to get, I'm just super pumped.
Cool. And do they do this live, or do they send in a recording, or?
Nope, we do it live. So when
Oh.
they arrive at the workshop, we do our normal warm-up exercises, and before we get into sort of the group activity for the day, like, because we pick a scene that's anywhere from 30 seconds to 2 minutes, everyone has an hour to practice, and then we record everyone, group by group.
Mhm.
So before we start the workshop proper, who have been given monologues, they come up and they immediately record their scenes. So they stand up there live. We do our best to do it in one take. I'll do my editing, we'll do the playback, and then folks will get their constructive feedback.
Nice. Very cool. All right.
How was your week, Zabudi?
Oh, thank you, Renar. I appreciate you saying that. So I, as I mentioned, and I'm sure we're going to get into in the topic, I did do one audition. You know what? One is better than none. I got some good feedback on it. Unfortunately, I didn't get the part, but that's fine. It was interesting because it's a group that I've been with for a couple years, but I kind of like stepped back because I wasn't a big fan of the content they were putting out, but there was some original content coming up, and I was like, okay, I'll give that a shot. I'm more comfortable doing that particular one than I am like sounding like somebody else to do XYZ type of stuff. Outside of that, I'm now starting to put the studio back together. I mean, don't get me wrong, that's still there, but I'm going to bring my other computer back out, and I got myself a new toy, and I'm looking forward to so I'm holding up a Scarlett 2i2. This is the 4th generation one, and I'm looking forward to hooking this up and trying, because this thing has got a lot of nice little bells and whistles that I'm going to be really happy about. Again, keep in mind, don't buy gear because it's expensive. Get what you think you can use. This is definitely not something that somebody could use. But every time that I fill out like an audition form and they ask about my equipment, I have to put Go XLR on it, and I swear it makes me look like a clown, or like like some sort of poser or something. So I figured, okay, I'll go with something a little bit more advanced
You're
for
not a poser.
yeah.
Not a poser.
No, but I mean, like I said, it makes me look kind of amateurish. I think that I was using this type, and don't get me wrong, I love my Go XLR. I love to be able to play sound effects and stuff, and be able to give myself, like the type of special effects on the fly and everything like that. But I don't need that. This is more of a streaming thing. This is more of an actual recording thing. So, yeah. So looking forward to see what the next week. The other thing I did want to say is the energies did come out. I don't know if anybody had an opportunity to watch the Energies. It's a brand new series that came out. It's got my voice in it. I get to play Ivor. This has been like 2 years in development. So I was very happy to actually see the final product. So if you get a second, check it out. We did send out a tweet or X or whatever the hell you want to call it. And yeah. I still don't know what is it, like Twix? I don't know what to call it anymore.
I have no idea what it's called.
Yeah, I'm at that point. Okay, first topic I did want to go into, and this is based off of Dorino pointing out that Tara Strong had an issue that came up. This was actually kind of back in October, so I'm gonna bring the article up on my side so I can kind of go into. Sorry, I had it up a second ago. I don't know where it went. Where did my document go? Hold on, let me bring it up in chat then. Okay, so I don't know where people are with this. I mean, they say essentially don't meet your idols because they will always disappoint. And I don't know if having access to wait, do we already have something on?
It's more the fact of I've met Tom Scar and it didn't go well.
Oh, no.
So I can attest to don't meet your idols because you'll revert to your 13-year-old self and you'll cringe at it for the rest of your damn life.
Well,
might not be what we're talking about here. Sorry.
Okay, no problem. So essentially, what ended up happening is, and I've seen this with other stars and other individuals. They post something on Twitter or on Instagram and people don't agree with, and the cancellation campaign tends to start. Where are we on, does a person's opinion on, in this particular case with Tara, it was Israeli-Palestine, a tweet where she was bad-mouthing Hamas, or not bad-mouthing, but saying essentially what Hamas has been up to, which made it seem like she was supporting Israel, which means, and it goes down this rabbit hole.
But the key word is seems, is what I haven't seen this. I don't know what the tweet is. I think everyone's entitled to their own opinion because we're all human. Well, I'd need to see what. Well, do you have the tweet?
I do have the tweet, actually.
Intriguing.
So, yes.
Right.
Before I get too far into that anymore, there's been other stars and there's been other people who have essentially made personal hot topics type of situation. I've always been in a position where I like your work. Does it really matter to me what you do in your personal time? And that's definitely a hot button issue in my house because we talk about J.K. Rowling a lot, and we know that that's a whole rabbit hole, and I'll get to that in a second. Okay, so the tweet in itself, and it's funny because they have to put it like allegedly also read. So first one was gosh, I had it up in a second. Our hearts are with Palestine and Israeli children. No, hold on. Let me go. No, that's them. That's them kicking her out.
Okay.
Gosh, I had it up a second ago. I'm gonna have to go back to digging for it. Go ahead.
So it's gonna be she said something. So from what I can understand so far is that she's basically very personally as herself, not as a character or anything like that. Just she has tweeted out something to do with the Israeli-Palestine conflict.
Yes.
And people have read that tweet and have, because you said the word seemed, and a lot of people can read into things when there might not be something to read into. I'm just saying.
Okay. I get what you're saying.
if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Again, I don't want to say too much because I don't know what has been said.
And my browser's
Because the
freaking out right now, so it's not really. I'm gonna have
language
to.
is so important, is basically what I'm
Right.
trying to say. Because some people can read, it's like the same person can read the same book and have completely different experiences of that book because people interpret things differently.
Mhm.
In the context of talking about whether or not a voice actor should have their own personal opinion on something, yes. Everyone has their own personal opinion on something. Should it affect their work? I think we've spoken about it before, that the work is separate to the individual. What you produce is you produce something, and that work is produced professionally as part of your job. If, however, I'd say if you're using Twitter as a professional means and you are presenting yourself very professionally via Twitter, and that's what you've basically been on Twitter for the longest time, it might come across as a bit of a sort of taking a sharp left to people who follow her. So that might have been a bit of a sort of shock to see her commenting on something when she might not have commented on previous political things before. When you have people who are in big names or something, and they're mostly political on Twitter, people just sort of go with it, and yes, it causes forest fires and things like that, but it's half expected from some people, if that makes sense. But if it was, again,
Okay.
I am spitballing here.
No,
That's
and
all-
you're fine.
that's all-
So
Yeah.
so I'm looking at I don't know if this is pieces of it, but I think it might be the whole thing. And again, I quote, this is the tweet that she put out. Absolutely devastating. I pray for peace. I fear for my family there. I fear for all suffering in this terrorist attack. Sickening how anyone condones or celebrates any violence. Hashtag Hamas has successfully brainwashed the Western world to actually believe that hashtag terrorism can be justified.
Okay. So my thoughts on that is that the tweet itself was quite neutral, and I get wanting peace and things like that, but I think that I can see how that tag might have inflamed certain people, I think.
So it wasn't just certain people. She actually got fired from the Boxtown animated series based off of this tweet. So this isn't that she's offending people out and about.
I've been living under a rock then. I've known nothing about this.
So this happened
Good
in
Lord.
October. So it was busy
Okay.
time for all of us. I missed it.
Yeah.
And then
Wow.
when
okay.
Dorino mentioned it, I brought it back up.
Okay.
So, I mean, are we really in the era where you have to, because in addition to all of that, I guess she liked a tweet and somebody spotted it and is now even more mad about it. And
I think cancel culture is starting to spiral a little bit.
okay.
This is just, and I'm gonna leave it at that
Yeah.
because
So-
if I say anything more, people will cancel me, and
Well,
that's
and-
the worry about it.
And that's
I
the crazy
think.
thing is, I mean, this
Yeah.
is something that we actually need to watch out for now, because we've already talked about reputation is such a huge thing when it comes to all of this. But and like I said, it's, for me, it's always been like, I like the work, I like what you put out. I understand that your personal life, you're an absolute monster and everything else. But does that mean that I need to stop enjoying what you're putting out because of it? Good example for
yeah.
this particular one, and I understand that it may not fall into, but it's still kind of like vocal production. There was a game that came out called Hogwarts Legacy, which people stood against because it's connected, of course, to J.K. Rowling. J.K. Rowling had nothing to do with the production of the game.
There is something to be said between the difference of IP and the difference of the person. I
Right.
think, and that and Harry Potter is a very good example of that.
Right.
She may have come up with that, but and she may own the rights to the intellectual property.
Yes.
However, that in itself, it becomes its own entity, and it becomes its own thing through people who enjoy it. If that makes sense, it's not necessarily a massive reflection on her.
Right.
If that makes sense,
Right.
she can have her own views. She can people can say and do what they want. Freedom of speech. That is the thing.
Freedom of speech,
And I
but not
think-
freedom of consequences, from what you said. Continue.
Yeah. I think it's more a reflection on today's culture, really. I think it shouldn't is what I'm trying to say. Someone's
Mhm.
personal opinion shouldn't matter as much as people are putting it to be, unless it directly impacts their work. I
Right.
think, or if it directly maybe goes against a company's belief systems. But then again, I've never thought politics should be in anything other than a personal opinion. Personally, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Everyone has the right to their own political view. I think it's a protected characteristic. I'm not entirely sure at this point. It's a thing. Everyone has them. Doesn't mean you have to listen to it. Doesn't mean you have to. I don't know.
Okay. And that's fair. That's 100% fair.
Yeah.
Okay. So there's that thing. So she said this thing, and she apparently liked a tweet that she's already unliked, and some people got mad about it.
But
then she finds out that she got fired from the show on social media.
Okay, now that's not good. I will say that doesn't feel right to me.
No.
I think if you're going to let somebody go, they should say and speak, and people
First
should
person
be
that
able to
should
fight their
know.
corner.
Yeah. So there's this whole social media monster that's on top of us now.
Yeah.
So I mean, A, I guess watch what you say on social media. B, watch what you like, because apparently people are watching that. And I still don't think it should affect you on a personal level. I'm curious I've kind of got Renara's point. Buka, any thoughts?
No, Buka, seriously.
So I spent that time reading up on it.
Yes.
So for me personally, I'm of the mind if it's racist, sexist, or homophobic, you can fuck off. But
fair.
that's pretty much where I'm at. Like I don't like I think you might have mentioned before, J.K. Rowling is a really good example of that. She's a TERF, and I'm not about it.
Yes, and I understand that.
Yeah, for me, it's just like that kind of ruins the fandom for me in a way.
Okay.
But her being an individual creator, I think that adds a different level of nuance. Where, if you're looking at an entire, there's an entire production that goes into like in a show like that. So I can kind of get why that company doesn't want to be associated with it. Unfortunately, I don't know enough about the conflict to know if there's a right side.
Right. I'm kind of in the same boat there when it comes to the current war and everything. War is terrible. Why are we going down that road? But whatever.
Yeah. So it's tough. I can I like I say, I don't even want to like say one way or the other if they reacted out of turn. People have their beliefs, and if it doesn't align, you don't necessarily want to be side by side with someone who, is in direct opposition of your like integral beliefs. So yeah, it's really rough.
Fine. Yeah.
Yeah. So as far as individuals like fans trying to, I guess, decide one way or the other, I can see where fans might have a degree of separation and be okay with separating the artist from the art.
No.
Which I think is a very different perspective from people who are creating something together.
Okay.
I am also now beginning to wonder whether, if you don't like something that someone has said, you don't have to attack them back just because they said something. I think is a philosophy that I guess I not live by, but I have had several people in my life say things that I 100% absolutely do not agree with, and and it hurts, and it really hurts to hear these things. However, I'm not going to attack them back because they've said that, and I'm wondering if because of so much lashing that she's received from this one tweet, that's why she got fired. If the company themselves had an issue with that one tweet, then by all rights they can, if it affects the ethos of the company she's working for and what she's representing is going against that ethos, then yes, that is something that should be taken into account, and yes, it can be a dismissal. You wouldn't have somebody working, let's say, well, in a position of power and abuse that power by saying something or manipulating someone by saying their own views, so to speak. But if it's a reaction from the mob, and I say it in the Roman context, if that makes sense, I'm not sure if that itself. Oh no!
What happened? We lost Buka.
We've lost.
Oh no!
We've lost a Buka.
Okay.
Oh no!
All right.
But I'll finish my point. I don't think companies should pay. They should listen to their audience, by all means, yes. But if it doesn't affect the ethos of the company,
Mm-hmm.
then I don't think it should be a fireable offence, if that makes any sense. If it's a troubling, worrying, maybe yes. If she had, they should pull her aside and have a cautionary talk about perhaps don't do this, and go through the sort of processes and steps of doing the disciplinaries and of that.
Mm-hmm.
But to jump straight to firing just because of one tweet doesn't feel correct.
Okay.
I think.
That, I mean, and again, that's absolutely fair. Oh gosh,
Mhm.
we're moving around.
The internet, the storms and all.
Yes, there we go.
Yeah.
Okay, let me put you back because I kind of moved you
Greetings.
over. Welcome back. Okay, so I mean, in general, obviously, like when it comes to the way that you're, and okay, so let me go this way. So one of the reasons I found this as an interesting one is because that particular role that I was going for before was one that had a character that had not safe for work lines attached to it.
Mm-hmm.
So one of my concerns, I guess, when it comes to putting in, because they didn't mention which of the 4 characters would have fallen under that, and how I would have felt had the one that I tried out for actually had it. And the reality is, after it's if everything's done in a tasteful way and you know, it's not overly, I don't know, sensualized, I think I would be okay with it. If it's done in good story and good taste, etc., I'm okay with it being part of my resume, because I don't know where that's going to lead, and I don't think it's a bad thing to have.
I think it goes down with those sorts of things in regards to sort of reputation and what you put out there. As long as it doesn't conflict with your own morals and how you feel within yourself, that should be the defining factor on whether someone does not safe for work or not. I can speak for myself that I will never do not safe for work stuff, because morally, for me and for my own personal safety and comfort, I cannot put myself in that headspace. I won't.
And that's fair.
If I'm on a long-term project
Mm-hmm.
and it's part of the character, however, and I've grown with that character, then I would probably be speaking to the director to see how we could do it in a safe manner with my own personal experiences. That, I think, is the caveat to that, because it's a slow, gradual burn into it. But for not safe for work, like just for its own sake,
Right.
I won't do that.
Gotcha.
But that's just me. I don't know about you, Booker.
I feel like it's a hard choice to make, because it can impact the entire trajectory of your voice acting career.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, if you decide to go into an area of adult content, Disney ain't hiring you. So it's definitely a choice. I've actually seen one of my friends and fellow voice actors, Zach Mayer. He's done work in a lot of different video games. He's done web series, and fairly recently he did an very adult anime called Fire at His Fingertips. So if you've ever seen it,
Wow,
yeah,
it's
that was
making
a
you
direct
blush.
and
Okay.
that okay, no, the reason, listen, there's a story to this, okay?
Okay.
No, see, I'm a supportive friend. I saw that he had posted, "Oh, I'm in this new anime, Fire at His Fingertips." I'm like, "Oh, that looks so cute. It's about firefighters." So let me go ahead. You know what? I'm gonna be a supportive friend. I'm gonna buy both seasons.
Oh.
And I bought it, and then I left it alone for a while. I was like, "Wait, I should actually watch this." And
Oh boy. Oh boy.
Oh my.
On the bright side, the version that Amazon sells cuts out the sex scenes, but they don't pretend that they're not there. But so, I'm just like, that was a choice.
Okay.
But so the whole point of that being, him having decided to do that, I can only imagine it is going to have an impact overall in his career, and it sucks that people can't sort of separate that kind of stuff. Like, I've thought about, if I did, I would 100% do it under a pseudonym. Like, I'd be perfectly happy to do it, but more likely than not, I would do all of that work under a pseudonym, like no face kind of deal. Like, and I realize that can get complicated, especially if you end up registering with SAG and all of that too. it gets all the more complicated. So I definitely understand why people, why different industries kind of separate themselves from that, especially when you're looking at like the sort of prime example of Disney, Nickelodeon, etc.
Mhm.
What you don't want is for someone to look
Uh-oh.
focused,
Oh
and
no! Oh,
those Google searches are going to get a little funky.
but
Okay. And I understand what you're saying. And understand what I'm basically trying to say is that it wouldn't have been like an exclusive NSFW. It would be like part of the
as part.
story, right?
Mm.
Mhm.
Which if it would have been just like straight up ASMR, blah 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 blah, hell no, I would not be in it. Magmorta in chat says there's a market for that stuff. It's just a fact of life. You're absolutely right, and there's nothing wrong with that. It just, like Buka said, it could definitely have an effect on the trajectory of your future. I don't think if it's a performance, I don't think if it's story driven, it should really affect you that way. But if it's like, for example, an anime that is exclusively for that, then it would change the situation.
I definitely think there is, like what was said, there is definitely a space for it, and there is a want for those sorts of things, and there should be more of it. It should be accepted more, is what I would personally think. I think, but I personally won't do it.
Yeah.
But it's that thing of, it shouldn't be penalized. I don't think. I don't think it should be penalized at all, because what you're teaching then is fear of it, and I don't agree with that at
Okay.
all.
And that's fair. I mean, there's
But I
plenty
do-
of
yeah.
smutty books out there with the throbbing and the lusting and the yada yada yada.
God, I was expecting to go into details of only Jesus.
But I mean, yeah, I mean, there's definitely a market for it, and if that's the route that you're gonna take, it's the route that you're gonna take. I mean, I like the idea of a
Do it.
pseudonym.
Yeah, I didn't think about that.
Yeah, but I mean, we'll see. That, so it's an interesting thought, something to think
It was
about.
good enough for Anne Rice. It's good enough for me.
Exactly. So as you move through your career, I guess, do watch what you say, do watch what you have in the background. People love to dig in the past. People love to bring up something that you might have said 10 years ago. So watch what you're doing. Yeah, because you never know.
But I'd say watch what you're doing, but don't feel you have to hide who you are just because other people might, if that makes sense. You don't want somebody to go super afraid, is what I'm trying to say.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think
makes
it comes
sense.
down to just, you shouldn't, like, there's a certain balance of doing what you feel is right and what, you're comfortable with at the end of the day.
Use
And doing
judgment.
your best to push past sort of the consequences of the social constructs. Like,
Yeah.
there's plenty of space for people to be able to do all the things. You can
Yeah.
you can participate in adult content and still be a really good actor or actress and be able to participate in things that are more PG. Like, I don't see why there isn't a really good space for that. And I know I made the joke earlier about Google searches, but like, even still, like, people are like, Zendaya is a really great example. She's done a little bit of
Oh, yes.
everything.
Yes.
'Cause
Actually, that's a
she's
really good point. Yes, because
she's
Yeah.
done
HBO shows
everything.
and stuff. Yeah.
Yes, but
Mhm.
she
Shake
still
it up
gets
to
hired
Euphoria.
for romance and all this other stuff. Like,
Yeah.
it hasn't had the, like, at least from our side of the space, it doesn't look like it's had a negative impact on her career. So, and I feel like that's a whole separate discussion where I kind of feel like, uh what is it, screen actors and voice actors are treated differently in that respect. Like, I feel like there's a huge divide between the two, and again, that might be some bias on my side. But at least to my mind, I've seen people just, like I said, people just get bricked career-wise, where if you make a decision to do one thing in your voice acting career, it completely bars you from everywhere else.
Wow. And I know I've we've all seen or heard of the comments from like Disney contracts when it comes to like moral clauses and stuff like that. So yeah. Generally that's after you sign, but yeah. If we get to that point, cool. We'll see what happens.
yeah.
You okay?
Yeah, I'm fine. I'm just dying over at the other side of the pond. It's fine.
What do you say to that? Let's
I love
continue.
it. I love flabbergasting you guys. It's great. Sorry.
All right. I think we've gone through this topic enough and very cool. Let's move on. I wanted to talk about Renara and some accent work.
Indeed. So I recently received basically again feedback from my Imperial Guard from Skywind, which I was asked to do an American accent for because my British accent is used for the Dunmer. So they went, "Can you do an American accent?" And I went, "I can bloody well try." So for some context, because I did send Zamudi some
I have it ready. So.
some clips of bits and pieces of my work, and I would love to hear, one, what you guys think of it, two, whether you can tell what possible dialect I'm trying to do, because they picked up and said that I was doing a certain type of a slight American accent and asked, "What type are you meant to be doing?" And I just froze and went, and I froze and went, "I don't know," because I was just asked to do American and I'm not sure now. But we can get into it. But yeah, no, it was an interesting thing that got me thinking, and then I listened back to some of my stuff and went, "Oh my fucking god." I am doing that. But no, I ended up having to do 2 voice types for this.
Okay.
Both American accents. One was meant to be a lot softer because this woman is meant to be sort of like priest type, or very much sort of like a cleric individual who fights but is a very, very nice sweetheart. And the other one is, "Stop right there, criminal scum," like Wes Johnson, that sort of thing.
Gotcha.
So one, I'd like to know what you guys think of it and actually
Okay.
get some feedback and where I can improve, because I will be getting my retakes from it.
Yes.
And two, I just would like to see what region you think I'm doing, if I'm doing a
Ooh.
region at all. I'm
Okay.
putting myself on the line out there for you guys.
Okay.
Go for it.
All right. So real quick before we do this, I'm gonna, you guys, after you listen to it, do me a favor, pause the video. We'd love to hear it on the description. Give your predictions before we hear the final.
Please
So please,
do.
because that would be funny.
I'm nervous.
No, don't be nervous. Don't be nervous. This is all good. All right. Here we go.
Everyone knows you've got a price on your head. I don't want any trouble. Just leave me alone, and I won't call the guards. A rumor says the Emperor has repealed the war tax. We've heard nothing official here, but it's about damn time. We haven't had a war in 10 years. Personally, I really respect you. But you are a notorious outlaw, and until you have cleared your name or paid your debt to society, I will become increasingly reluctant to associate with you. You can't be in here, and I'm afraid I can't let you leave. The company wouldn't like that at all. I know who you are. You're nothing but a petty thief. I can't afford to associate with criminals like you. Additionally, you are in possession of illicit substances. I'm confiscating these for your own good. I fought Guars more ferocious than you! Your cursed bloodline ends here! This is pointless! Give in!
Okay.
You're welcome. No. Oh god. Oh, listening back to that and I'm going,
Oh my goodness.
I'll let you go first, Buka.
Cool. So in the very beginning, it almost had like a southern twang to it, and then steadily fell into a transatlantic accent. Like
Okay.
it went from being a little bit weirdly sassy to then sounding like you're in like a
Man, it's a
film
gangster
noir
movie. See? Yeah.
detective detective role. It was great.
oh.
Okay.
Awesome video.
No.
A
No,
little with
okay.
a little sprinkle of newscaster in there.
Oh, no.
This just in. Okay. So I've kind of talked about this before. There's a book series that I've been reading or listening to because I do audiobooks because of my long commute. He Who Fights with Monsters, and the narrator is Heath Miller. Heath Miller has the weirdest American accent because he's Australian.
Yeah.
But because there's especially like in the last couple of books, there's been a couple of characters who are American, and man, to me it seems like he's really exaggerating, and I hear those kind of like softer type of noises coming from you, and I can't, but his, don't get me wrong, his are like way exaggerated. I'm gonna have to bring up an
Right.
example of it at some point. Because it's like when he's got those characters being, it's like he really tries to like emphasize this. It's like, and I'm listening to it and I'm going like, oh my God, is this what everybody sounds like on here? I heard a little bit of that on it.
Yeah.
I picked up on a little bit of the Southern, and I heard you softening your words and trying to soften your accent out. And I mean, obviously there's no East Coast, there's no Bostonian. This has to be more of a Midwestern type of accenty or Western type of accent. Because Western's Go ahead.
You both hit it right on the nail on the head.
Okay.
Because he said, well, I'll see if I can get because it was via Discord, so I'll see if I can find it again. So for a bit of context while I'm looking this up, we have file cutters. So we don't cut our own lines. It gets sent off and somebody who's been gone through the tutorial actually goes through and does it specifically
So
for
100% raw,
for them.
essentially, is what you're saying.
Yeah, this is all 100% raw.
Okay.
Where did it go? Oh no. Yeah, because he was concerned about the consistency. Yeah, my concern right now is consistency with the character. If a Southern drawl is expected, but it starts turning into a different American accent, I might need to start making some changes for that. So he basically went, "So are you meant to be doing a Southern drawl here?"
Called it.
Yeah.
And I was like, and I listened to it, and I went, "Oh my God, I'm doing that Southern drawl. I'm putting that in there, like just right at the end with the R's."
Yes.
But weirdly enough, it was just once I realized that my positioning of the American accent when I was doing it softer was actually slightly different to when I was projecting it, which was so strange, and I hadn't really thought about it until he brought that up. Because a lot of people say that doing an American accent is like having a cotton ball in your mouth. Like it seems like it sits in your mouth and it kind of rounds out in the inside of your mouth. And when I was doing the softer one, it felt like that, but pushed up my nose more, weirdly enough, which is probably where the Southern drawliness was coming through, because that's quite nasally. I'm so sorry.
No, not. I mean, this is how you learn.
I want to give you credit where credit is due. The further along you got, the more consistent you were in the accent. Which, and depending on stage direction, of course, as long as it's consistent, you're good to go. Like I said, it was just those first couple of lines where I was like, I don't know where we're going here. But by the end, like midway into towards the end, it was really consistent. Like I thought it was nice.
I'm very glad to hear that, because you're both saying the exact same thing that he was saying, basically. So that makes me it's good to have rounded from everyone, if that makes sense. But no, I will admit that I have said to them that the first 200 lines of this are going to be shit. Because this was my first time properly being cast to do an American accent. I'd been playing around with it beforehand and everything, and it's gotten to me that was me stumbling over a sentence half formed that tripped and fell into a hole. No.
Poor
this
sentence.
is where my accent is now after doing 1,200 lines of this. Just to put it into perspective for anyone who's learning an accent, because I'm doing two voice types. I'm doing a slightly softer one and a more projected one for the two types of characters, and it's taken me this long to get to here, and I've still got a bit of way to go, obviously. And I am expecting, because I asked them to be absolutely ruthless, because that's how I learn. I'd much rather they told me it straight to my face if it was rubbish or not. Because we're all our own worst critics, and
100%.
and it was just listening back to it, I was like, ugh, but yeah.
We all cringe when we listen back to this stuff, so don't worry about that part. But yeah, I mean, I'd love to see where this is going, and we're gonna know, because when it comes to accent stuff, I've always said I'm terrible at it. My Mexican accent, funny enough, I'm Mexican, sounds Irish. And even my wife makes fun of me for it. So it's like ingrained in me to not be able to, even though I can speak both languages, I can't recreate the accent for either side. I can't even do a Spanish speaker, or I'm sorry, an American speaker doing trying to speak Spanish. I can't. As much as I try, and it just turns into like stereotypical or to the point where it's like possibly I'm offending people when it comes to trying to do it, you know?
That is the worry, but because you know when you first start out, it's going to be you learn by listening. That's how, at least with accents. And I had to do, during this process, I did a lot of research on vowels and the way your O's are different. Because confiscated, that word alone, I put that in there for a reason. The word, because I kept tripping up on that line. I kept slipping back into English for the word confiscated because I wasn't sure how the O goes. And it took me a while. I had to do some research online, and it's almost like an R sound.
O's become Oz. Yep.
Yeah. And I
O's
didn't
become
know
Oz.
that until doing several things. And because previously I've had bits back saying, you sound so English still. You really do sound transatlantic. Because the vowel sounds I hadn't changed. I hadn't realized how many different variations of vowel sounds there are between American and British. And it was just those small bits and pieces that once I had those, it made the sentences flow a little better. And I guess now you've said the consistency came with that. And it was just those moments of reflection when it comes to an accent is what helps you get to an accent. Like, for example, with British, we pronounce our T's a lot more, a lot more. But there's also a thing called the glottal stop, which is what you would consider a more London-esque type thing, where it's more like water. You don't say the T. And that's not, and some people kind of go, but you say your T's, but you don't say your T's, and you get confusing. And it's that regional aspect, bringing it right back, that it's the different changes and the different bits and pieces. And I completely did forget that America has a lot of different regional accents. I forgot about that.
About that. Well, I absolutely hear you. I've spent the better part of a decade training myself out of my natural accent. Mostly because I grew up I grew up in the Northeast. And that comes with a lot of the vowels are weird. And when I moved to the West Coast, it was to the point where I was upset because people would stop me in the middle of a conversation. Like we could be
Oh
talking about
no.
like the passing of a friend, and they would interrupt me and be like, "I'm sorry, what did you just say?" Like, "You did what?" I was like,
No.
it was like, "Well, you know, before I showed up at the service, I bought some flowers at the
Boy,
store."
yeah, I heard that.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
people like, "I'm sorry, what did you say? You what something? You bought something?"
Oh no.
And so I have been training myself out of this accent for years. And TikTok popped up, and it was like a challenge saying, "Say this sentence and you'll know where someone is from." And I read the sentence and I'm like, "I can do this. This is fine." No, I couldn't. No, I couldn't. So the sentence is, I bought a coffee and it cost $1 at the corner store. That is not, you could tell how hard that
Yes, I
was
saw
to come
that.
out of my face. Because it's literally painful. Literally painful.
Because I heard you wanted to go bought, and I heard you dollar.
Bought a
Yeah.
coffee. No, it's I bought a coffee and it cost $1 at the corner store. Like
Corner
that's
store, right?
corner store. Like it will never leave me.
No, I get that.
So yeah, it's tough trying to break out of one accent in order to do another. It's hard enough even just doing it from like one American accent to another. Trying to go regionally, I can't. You are stronger than me.
But I think it is something to be said on now that when I look at American, because sometimes I'll see an audition where it says American accent. I now have gotten into the habit of going, okay, I need to ask you what region. I need to ask you where you think that is, and things like that, including how it comes to British accent. Because a lot of people, when they think of the British accent, they think either RP or Cockney, which are two of many, which is fair. They're the ones you hear a lot, but it's made me want to figure out, so what is considered the American accent in casting? So I'd like to open the floor to the Americans in the room to inform me as to what the American accent is in casting, because I have no idea at this point.
My initial thought about that is probably a mix of West and Midwest, which is where
Okay.
I've tried to keep my accent at, where
Okay.
you're enunciating quite a bit of things, but you're still throwing away your T's here and there. The
Mhm.
T's become D's in certain aspects. A lot of O vowels become Ahs.
Yeah.
Whereas, when we're talking about an East Coast accent, your Ahs become OWs or AWs. Where,
Or
yeah, exactly. So
yeah.
coffee is a very neutral way of saying that word, is a very neutral accent, sort of ambiguous. But
Yeah.
if you're talking about an East Coast accent, that's going to be coffee. If you're talking about a
Coffee.
pure West Coast accent, it's going to be coffee. Like, it's going to be drawn out. Because the West
Yeah.
Coast, that tends to be a much more like laissez accent, where you have a lot of lifts and you have a lot of dry, where you talk like this a little bit, especially when you're talking
Vocal
about
fry.
feminine. Yeah, when you talk about
Yeah.
feminine accents when it comes
Like
to the West Coast.
totally.
Oh my
Yeah.
Like,
god.
Oh my
totally,
god.
like, amazing. There's gonna be a lot of vocal fry. There's gonna be a lot of vocal fry. There's gonna be a lot of drops. And then when you're
Like,
excited, it's gonna be like, oh my God. Like, exactly. But when you're
yeah.
looking at, so like, exactly, when people say American accent, they're usually talking about a neutral West to
Okay.
Midwest. But if they want something real specific, they're gonna tell you, like, no, we
Okay.
want a New England accent, we want a Boston accent, we want a New York accent.
Mhm.
We want Nuevo Rican accent, which is a whole other thing, which is Puerto
I'm
Ricans that
sorry,
grew up
what?
in a,
Oh, Puerto Rican. Sorry,
yeah,
I didn't hear the
Nuevo
P.
Rican is the accent
Oh my.
Okay,
that
Poppy, let's go. Come on. Yeah.
yeah,
Oh.
it's like like no, it's like, like it's I can't even know, because if I do it now, I'm gonna be stuck with it for a week. Because again, that is what I grew up with.
Mhm.
So, but all like it anything more specific than that, they're gonna tell you. Like,
Okay.
otherwise, you can assume it's gonna be a west to Midwest neutral.
Okay. Okay.
I tend to
Cool.
agree. I think definitely the Western one tends to be, West Coast. Seems to be like the new. No, I'm not talking like Valley Girl. I'm not talking like
Okay.
Surfer Dude. I'm talking like newscaster level. And even that might be a
Okay.
little too proper. But I mean,
Okay.
for the most part, when it comes to a neutral American accent, I would say California might have it. And then as you fall more Midwest, it just starts kind of like loosening up a little bit more.
Mhm.
And
I feel
then
like the perfect spot is Oregon.
yeah, that's yeah, because that's kind of like
Okay.
between the two. So yeah, absolutely.
Mhm.
And I'm sure there's a lot
Learn
of
Oregon accent. Got it.
yeah. Start researching Oregonian, or I don't know which one it would be, but yeah.
Origami.
Cool. Okay. Well,
thank
out
you.
of curiosity, is
Mhm.
it the Southern that you thought would be when it comes to somebody asking for American? Is that where that was going?
Well, I thought Southern would turn up a bit more because in England, that's like the go-to accent that we usually, either that or Cali Girl, that gets used a
Cali
lot,
Girl.
I guess.
Mhm.
So, um, I just got it in my head from when I did my oh god, don't look it up, but do look it up. My first ever actual American accent was when I did something for Jeff Leeson. I played the Scream Queen thing.
Yeah.
Oh god.
The Scream Queen.
Ah, but no, it's more the case of it's either a really hammed up American accent, which is not something I want to do.
Mhm.
So it is that usually it's when people in England want an American accent, it's from the character work that I've heard of, it is either full goddamn Southern or oh my god, like I was like at the coffee shop like earlier, and I saw my friend there, and it's like I've got the two like massive ends of the spectrum. I could do
Mhm.
those, but that sort of subtle, actual everyday speaking West Coast accent, shall we say?
Mhm.
I want to master and get into my like wheelhouse really, because I know in radio they prefer that, so I'm trying to make sure I have a set wheelhouse that I can do,
Mhm.
basically, and I want to make sure that I'm actually, I'm
Sorry.
doing it justice to the different regional accents, because I know British people get really annoyed when
Ah.
Americans go, "You're either Cockney or Queen's English." So I'm just trying to do my part on. I want to make sure I can do and recognize and understand the differences because that in itself lends to consistency, and I'll get better at it that way.
Mm-hmm.
I've just got a lot to practice still, because I am most certainly the most British person you will ever meet.
Honestly, if I would say, like, beyond, watching conversational people speak in different TV and stuff, if you wanted to really get to, like, a very proper way of speaking, I would say look at infomercials. So,
Okay. Yeah.
American
That's a good
commercials
point. Yeah.
American commercials for different what do you call it? Like, if you look at QVC, that's a great place to go listen to people talking very properly. Because the one thing you mentioned before about newscaster, that is its own dialect in a
Mhm.
way. It has a very different pacing than what is considered
It's got a
natural
different
speech.
cadence and stuff.
Yeah,
Like, today's
but
on this news. This is when
exactly. And it's like, coming up next, you won't
Yeah.
believe what this neighbor found under their floorboards. Like, that's a whole different thing. But what I would say for a good study to me is like looking at the QVC, or even looking at because the America is very what is it, kind of famous for this, which is the prescription commercials, the medical commercials.
Oh. Okay.
Like,
Oh, dear.
talk to your doctor about Cialis today. Like, but that typically people who are doing that voice work, that is like the most neutral American accent, like, that I can think of immediately. Of where can you find a plethora of material for that?
Okay.
Medical commercials.
I
Fabulous.
like that.
I'll stop sounding Canadian. I once said that my American accent was like, "Are you trying to do Canadian?" I'm like, going, "No, I'm just very English."
Meg Mortis says,
But
me living in Washington, LOL. Yeah, I mean, that's
Yeah,
definitely that
Washington's
area.
pretty neutral up there
Yeah.
too. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you again. Very, very interesting conversation. Much appreciated. Obviously, if you really want to look into accents, there are a lot of resources online that you can look for, or you can get an accent coach. Definitely you want to go down that road, and somebody that can give you some nice feedback. Oh, Brent Morose in chat is saying, whenever I'm talking with friends, I can always tell when my Canadian accent slips in when they start to giggle.
I cringe for you, my dude. I hate it so much.
So I'm a bilingual. Oh, Doc. Hey, Doc. How's it going? I see you now. It's funny because, like I said, I don't feel like I have too much of an accent. There is a couple words here and there that unfortunately pop out. I say like a plate of cereal instead of a bowl of cereal. That's because in Spanish, un plato de cereal makes sense, and my brain just automatically translates it because what goes on in here is in Spanish. And I've got to like translate it as I go, and it slips out. My wife all the time says that I do the Ricky Ricardo-isms every now and then, and it just comes out. There's nothing I can do. Doc also says, thankfully it's only a couple of words for me. Know what I'm talking about. No, totally get it. I understand.
Yeah, even last night, I have come to learn that the more drunk I get, the all of the training I've done to get rid of my accent goes out the window. And all of it I slip right back into it, and I can't get out of it.
I too start to go a bit London. I do start to go a bit London, like bit Cockney, bit oi, what you say, mate? When it goes, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Maybe we can consider, like, if we hit 1,000 subs on YouTube, we can have like a drunk podcast night.
A drunk podcast.
Find the time in between for all of us.
Right?
We were just talking about reputations, Moody.
See, what we could do as a sober version is just let me talk to my family back east for 30 minutes.
And
exactly.
Yes.
Just talk him on the phone for 30 minutes, and then I'll come right back. We'll be good to go. And I just heard myself again.
Yeah, it was there.
Let me talk to my family. No.
Totally. Let me talk to my family. Okay, cool. We want to get to this audio review. We absolutely appreciate. So I just shared my screen. Do me a favor, jump on over there if you haven't already.
Done.
Excellent. So this is a Mitch Mark, I believe, from audio. So I'm just going to play it, and hopefully you all can hear it. So we're going to go 3, 2, 1.
Kid, I don't think you understand the magnitude of the situation. I came back to find you, because you know where to find this son of a bitch. You can tell me now, or I can pry it out of you. What's it gonna be? You've opened the door to the janitor's domain. a broom closet full of wonder. Beyond the plungers, brooms, and unknown items of disgust are memories of the past. The memories you're about to hear are not for the faint of heart. The memories are meant for mature audiences only. Listener discretion is advised. Prepare yourself for tales from the janitor. Our little girl, our little Jessica, she disappeared yesterday. A ways out of Reedsport. We stopped to rest, and she wandered off into the woods. And tonight on Free Press with Chuck Weathers, a special report. It has been over 2 years since the devastating terrorist attack on an IGR facility in New Jupiter.
That's it. Okay.
Okay.
We've heard from this individual before.
Have we?
Yes, I do believe we have. So Mitch, thank you again for dropping in the audio. We appreciate it. I will start off, and I will say your voice is very particular. Your voice is going to have a good market for noir work, for detective type, because it's very quintessential dialect for that particular one, I would say. The newscaster one at the end, I think, fell we got to try to figure out how to get away from that particular accent when it comes to, if that's what you're aiming for. The third one, which is kind of the emotional one, I feel like you were too caught up in the words in itself, and I feel like more emotion needed to come out. I don't feel like you were really too concerned or too sad for that particular one. So work on that. Otherwise, like I said, you've got a good market. You've got a good voice. Every voice has a space out there. So don't be afraid to keep it up. Okay.
The two things that I noticed was there were a couple of moments where you fell into a bit of mush mouth. We lost some of the words in the mix where it's sort of like I don't like my brain has to squint to understand what you said for a moment. So I would just be a little bit more cognizant of enunciation. And then the other thing that I noticed too, when we're talking about that newscaster, or not, well, actually before the newscaster, when we're talking about sort of that scared moment where you're trying to do the emotional thing, it sounded like you ran out of breath. So one thing I would have done a redo of that and make sure that you're taking it, you're doing a bit of breathing exercises before you jump into it. Get a good deep breath in. It can be really easy to let go of a lot of breath when you're trying to do something emotional, because you tend to do this and you want to get airy and riled up, which tightens your chest and makes it hard to be able to control your breath. So I would just be really mindful of breath control when you're doing those more emotional moments.
I think with the emotional moments, actually, I'm going to add to that in the sense of I didn't get a sense of your full dynamic range and what quite possibly we could hear from you in that regard, because I got a little confused with the emotional one because it sounded, at least in my ears, I was like, wait, is he happy? Wait, no, the words don't set, the scene does not tend towards a happy reaction. Hang on a minute. If you see my face, I do a weird facial expression when we're listening. But I think I really want to hear that panic, that frantic nature of, we lost our daughter yesterday, oh my God. And the first couple, I think, felt quite reedy. And when I say reedy, I mean I can tell you're reading the lines, and you're not speaking to a person or a character, or you're not speaking to the audience. And I really would like to see what I really want to feel and be in those scenes with you. And I think if we push your dynamic range and we hear those peaks and troughs and just have that come through, the transitions to each one will be so much clearer, because the first and second, kind of without that thunder effect in the middle, I probably wouldn't have known really that they were two different ones, other than what he was speaking about.
Yeah.
The voice, but oh my God, your voice is like butter. I love it. Oh, it's great. It's such that sort of, yeah, like they say, film noir, that sort of gritty detective, that sort of that stranger in the corner that's dark and mysterious, that one that has a whiskey in their hand. And there is so much, your voice is great, and I really want to hear everything that you can do with it, basically, is what I'm trying to say. And I think that's what needs to come through a bit more with because I think the scenes themselves lended quite nicely to what his voice type is.
Mhm.
I just want to feel more, man. I just want to feel more.
I think Renara hit it in the head. I think you might have your face too close to like the script. You're just like reading it. You're try to take like a quick 3 read through, mull it in your head and think about what, yeah, yeah, definitely. And think about what the character is going through and not just what the words are on the paper. Maybe that'll help with the emotion showing a little bit more. Because if you're just going through it in the first time and you're just kind of like reading it out, you don't know where it's going to end up, and you may trap yourself as you're recording. So something to consider. We'd love to hear any updated version that you may want to come up with. Please feel free to post again. I know I've heard your voice before, and so I may have to go back and look to see. I think it was the original clip, just the very first one, and now you've got this expanded one. So don't be afraid. And then don't be afraid to like try a younger version of your voice. Don't be afraid to explore a little bit more, because it was all the same tone. So try to mess around. And again, if you don't want to go that route, there's of course a market for somebody that can do that quintessential noir voice. So
I want to add just one more thing. Because for the emotional scene, if that's a man who has been running around rampant trying to find his daughter, I've been advised if I'm doing lines where my character's out of breath, I do a lap of my garden. I get myself into that sort of slightly breathy state so that I'm not going and pretending in the booth. If that makes sense, because sometimes it can come forced. So just do maybe some like push-ups or something, or get your body in that sense of adrenaline rush to get you naturally into that slightly breathy state, to then be able to really push that forward. Just a tip that I learned passing it forward. That's
sure,
all.
That works. Okay, we'll leave that there, and I think we are at the end of the show. Oh my goodness!
Wow, so
right?
fast.
So
Look at us go.
Yeah, Dorina, hope all is well. We look forward to hearing from you in a couple of weeks. Please remember, we do our show bi-weekly now, so don't expect us to come back until February at this point. So we will be back February 4th. With a brand new show. If there's anything you want us to talk about, just send us over, make a comment, leave it there. If you made it this far in the video, just go ahead and leave it where you found us, where you came from. We love to see those comments. We love to see you guys. If anything resonated with you, give us a word that worked out, and then we'll be more than happy to mention it on the next episode and say hello and everything else. So don't be afraid to comment. We love it. If you can give us a subscribe, if you can give us a like, that goes a long way. It's free to you on YouTube. It's free to you on your podcasts. Please do us a favor and just do that extra click, and we would absolutely appreciate it. Again, if you have any audio that you want us to review, send it over. We'd love to see it. Again, thanks to everybody who provided one today. Thank you, Renara, for putting yourself out there. As you can see, we do it to ourselves. We're not afraid to go down this road. So come join us. Come join us again, and let us be your companion in this voice acting journey. So thank you, everybody, and let's catch you all next time. As
and
Meg
don't
Morta,
forget
yes,
to drink your water.
There it is. All right, everybody. Thank you so much. We'll catch you all next time. You didn't have anything?
Okay, well, I have this, Samudi, all right?
Yeah. All right, ladies and gents. Catch y'all next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay. We're going to end the stream right here. Magmorta, again, thanks. Doc, good to see you again. Thanks to everybody who was here. Thanks for a lurker. We appreciate you out there, and we'll catch you next time. Thanks. Bye-bye.